Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Charlotte, North Carolina for the running of the 2000 Winston. We have three 20-lap segments in this all-star race with 5 cars being eliminated at the end of segment 1 and 2, so there is no lollygagging around here. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Jeff Burton and Saka make up row 1. Row 2 is Dale and Dale, Jarrett and Earnhardt. Row 3, Brandon in that 28 Texaco Havoline Ford and Jeff Gordon in the 24 DuPont Chevy. Bobby Labonte and Rusty Wallace, the experience, makes up row number 4. Row number 5, Mark Martin and last year's Rookie of the Year, Tony Stewart. Row 6 makes up Mike Skinner and Sterling Marlin, a couple of Chevys there. Row 7, the rookies, Ryan Newman and Matt Kenseth. Row number 8 is the 8 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 10 of Johnny Benson. Row 9, the Hendrick Motorsports teammates of Terry Labonte and Jerry Nadeau, and shotgun on the field, Bill Elliott and Ward Burton. We spoke to Rusty Wallace before this race began. Let's hear what he has to say.
We won this thing in '89 in pretty good fashion. You know, it was pretty dramatic, that win, but I'd like to win it again. We got a really great car here tonight.
So some encouraging words from the 1989 Winston winner. Pace car is on pit road, ready to begin this first 20-lap segment. Jeff Burton has control of the field. Green flag is in the air. Jeff Burton and Dale Jarrett with a massive launch. Jarrett looks to the inside, going for the lead. Saka all alone, and then 2 by 2 behind him. Looks like this race may have 2 different distinct grooves. We see the high lane working up there with Tony Stewart and Rusty Wallace. On the inside, we have Ryan Newman and Dale Earnhardt Jr. making their way down the backstretch into turn 3. Tony Stewart has a gap, but he doesn't push the issue. It's too early to be forcing a bad spot, especially around a rookie, Ryan Newman. First lap is in the books, and they are still trying to figure out how to get single file Earnhardt and Labonte side by side. Johnny Benson now working on the outside of Bill Elliott. These are the cars to watch at the end of lap 20. The last 5 cars will be cut from the field, so they have to go. And 19 laps here at Charlotte ticks by very quickly. Johnny Benson holding his line up top behind Kenseth. Not a whole lot of room to go. Let's see how fast these cars go by. The field is starting to string out. As you can see, Jeff Gordon on the underside of Bobby Labonte to complete the pass. That's where you want to get it done, on the exit of turn 2, and Jeff Gordon gets it done. Looks like they're single filing out behind him. Tony Stewart on the inside of Mike Skinner, pressured by the 0-2 of Ryan Newman. He'll go for that pass into turn 1. Skinner with a head of steam on the outside. He's got a gap. Stewart looks to the inside of Mike Skinner will drop down to the bottom, and they'll single file out. Looking back from the Pennzoil Chevy of Saka back to the 28 car of Brandon. Brandon gets good bite on the bottom. Let's see if he can complete the pass. No, stays in line, then gets a head of steam, goes to the bottom. Brandon will complete that pass for third place. Saka back in 4th. Dale Jarrett still leads. This backstretch is nice and long. You can get a lot of momentum here. Dale Jarrett now pacing the field, coming down to 15 laps to go. This race is ticking by quick, already 1/4 of the way done. Jeff Burton 2nd, Brandon in 3rd, going for the move. Here they come, Brandon down to the bottom of Jeff Burton. Looks like he'll complete that pass going into turn 2. Jeff Burton will line up on the inside. Saka with the drive, followed closely by the intimidator Dale Earnhardt. Let's look on the back of the Pennzoil Chevy as Earnhardt goes to the inside. Saka up the track just a little bit. Earnhardt will complete that pass coming down to the front straightaway. Put Earnhardt in 4th place. Saka back to 5th. 14 laps to go now. Saka drifts up the track just a little bit. They get that good bite on the exit of the turn, but these cars up front are pretty equal. Battle of the 2000 rookies here. Matt Kenseth on the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. completes the pass going into turn 3, and this is the trouble zone. These are the last 5 cars. Kenseth will need to get past Ward Burton and Sterling Marlin. Dale Jr. looking to the bottom here. Jr. will get the drive on the inside. Matt Kenseth will drive into the outside and pinch Jr. down. Keep Kenseth out front side by side here at Charlotte. And you can see the gap that Sterling Marlin and Ward Burton are gaining on these two rookies right here. They need to settle this amongst themselves, and Junior will finally complete that pass. 12 laps to go now. Ward Burton to the inside of Sterling Marlin. He's trying to get that little bit of a cushion so he don't drop back. Ward Burton will power through the bottom of the turn. He'll complete that pass. Sterling Marlin gives him room. Saka now competing with Jeff Burton, with Jeff Gordon in tow. Still trying to make up that spot from Dale Earnhardt. Looks like a pretty competitive group of cars we have running up front. Dale Jarrett still leads, Brandon in second, and Earnhardt in third. Johnny Benson now tries to make a move on Matt Kenseth. Kenseth may be having difficulty. Kenseth seems to be slipping back through the field. Dale Jr. has gotten clear. Johnny Benson will make the pass down to the inside with the help of Jerry Nadeau. And it looks like Johnny Benson will not have the drive going into the third turn. Matt Kenseth with good drive off. Kenseth will actually can't quite clear him. Looks like Matt Kenseth will, Kenseth was trying to clear him. He will finally move down in front of Johnny Benson. Tight racing in the back. 10 laps to go now. And one thing about Charlotte, these multiple groove racing, it's pretty competitive. Those that sort of stay on the bottom can get good drive going into the turn, and those that carry the high lane out can carry a lot of momentum around the outside. So maybe Brandon can make that work. Looking back now at Rusty Wallace and Bobby Labonte. Mark Martin takes a peek to the inside, doesn't quite get there. It's very tough to get a fender beside someone. Bobby Labonte comes off with about the same amount of speed as Rusty. He goes to the inside. Bobby Labonte looking to move up. Mark Martin will follow suit if Bobby can complete the pass. The bottom sort of bogs down and Rusty gets that good drive off. Let's see if Bobby Labonte can clear Rusty going into turn 3. He can. And will Mark Martin follow him through? Rusty Wallace maintains that high lane. But Mark Martin will take advantage, followed closely by Tony Stewart. Looking up front now, Jeff Burton going to work on Jeff Gordon on the high lane. The back 5 cars have spaced out. Bill Elliott is running shotgun on the field. Back up with that battle now between Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton. Almost door to door as Gordon gets that drive into turn 3. Gordon will complete the pass, move up. Jeff Gordon behind Saka. Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, and Rusty Wallace. Looking back up to the front, you haven't missed a thing. 6 laps to go, and Brandon is still right on the heels of leader Dale Jarrett. Looks like they have even steam coming off the second turn. Brandon's going to try the high lane now. Looking on the outside of Dale Jarrett. If he can get a fender on the outside, that can stall out Dale Jarrett, but he gets that run off, coming to 5 laps to go. Looking now from our helicopter cam, Brandon right up on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett. This is how close it is for the segment 1 win. You can see right there, Dale Jarrett gets a little bit of a drive off of turn 2. Going into turn 3, Brandon carries a lot more momentum. He gets right up to the back bumper. Dale Jarrett looks to the inside. He is right there. 4 laps to go now, riding on Brandon's front bumper. Looking to the high lane, trying to keep that right front in the air, pinch down, and not pick up that arrow push. Charlotte is notorious for getting behind a car and not having the ability to turn. That's not a problem here for Sterling Marlin, though, as he looks to the inside of Terry Labonte. Terry fights back hard to the outside, but Sterling will have that pull off Ryan Newman. Can he complete the pass? And there's the back markers right there. Dale Jr. on back. So this is for the 15th spot between Sterling Marlin and Terry Labonte. If you finish behind these guys, you go home. Brandon looking to the outside now with 3 laps to go. He's got the momentum. Let's go side by side. Brandon and Dale Jarrett with Dale Earnhardt looking on. Brandon will complete the pass off of turn 2. Trying to set sail for 2 laps to go. Dale Jarrett down the bottom. Can Brandon get away? That is the question. How strong is that number 28 Texaco Havoline car out front in clean air? Jeff Burton will look to the inside of Saka here. And Jeff Burton will complete that pass. Saka will settle behind Jeff Burton. And Jeff Gordon behind him. Saka pushes up just a little bit, scrapes the wall just a touch. Bobby Labonte in tow. This is for the transfer spot. Dale Jr. fighting alongside Johnny Benson, Matt Kenseth. So these guys have a lot of work to do coming down to the last lap of the race. Brandon with a comfortable lead over Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt. We're going to keep a close eye here on any moves that may be made in the back of the pack for sure. Coming down to the last few turns, and it looks like Brandon will take the checkered flag here. Looking back at the transfer spot, everybody from Dale Earnhardt Jr. back, Terry Labonte. But your segment 1 winner is Brandon in that Texaco Havoline Ford. We will take a quick break, get to the pit stops, and then we will re-rack them up when we return. Welcome back to segment 2 of the Winston All-Star Race. We've relined them up, and on the front row, Brandon and Saka. Row 2, Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace. Row 3 is Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Burton. Row 4 is Jeff Gordon and Ward Burton. Row 5 is Tony Stewart and Bobby Labonte. Looking back to row 6, we have Mark Martin and Terry Labonte. Row 7, Ryan Newman and Sterling Marlin. And bringing shotgun on the field in 15th, Mike Skinner. We're going to cut 5 more after these 20 laps. Let's get set for the start. You really have to take care of your car in this second segment as 5 more are cut. And this isn't where the money is. That's segment 3. So let's see if Brandon and Saka can get a good, clean start here. Pace car is off. They are in the hands of Brandon. Coming down, the flagman has the green flag in the air, and green flag is in the air. Good start for our leaders, Brandon and Saka side by side. Let's put 20 laps on the clock. Here they come down into turn 1, 2 by 2. Dale Jarrett looking to the inside of Saka. He's holding that bottom. Saka with a good line up top. Saka takes the lead. Single file back to Brandon, to Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt 2 by 2. Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace in pursuit. Let's take a look at Tony Stewart now fighting on the bottom behind Jeff Burton under Rusty Wallace and Ward Burton. Let's see if the bottom line is the prevailing line this time around, or if that top line is going to start to get bite. Rusty on the bottom of Jeff Burton there. Jeff Burton will fight back on the high side and clear. Tony Stewart now under Ward Burton, who gets that drive off. Let's see if Tony can squeeze up in front of his teammate. Pass for second here. Dale Jarrett followed by Earnhardt and Gordon under Brandon. Brandon might get that high lane working. Let's see if he comes off the turn with any steam. He can get behind Jarrett. Earnhardt still fighting back on the bottom. 18 laps to go. Saka out front with a half-second lead over Dale Jarrett. Brandon now up top, squeezes down to the bottom in front of Dale Earnhardt. They're single filing out. Brandon scrapes the wall just a touch. Earnhardt looking to capitalize on the bottom. He drives by with Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton in tow. And Saka up the track. Looks like Dale Jarrett will be passing for the lead as well. Dale Jarrett moves to the bottom, and well, he won't lead that one. Saka fights back on the high side, side-by-side racing at the front. And unfortunately, our final 5 are spacing out. But let's go for a Sakakina Risa Games. Crank it up. great pictures brought to you by the Pennzoil onboard cam, the Excite batteries onboard cam, and the Interstate batteries onboard cam. Single filing out now. The race is starting to move to its second stage. The tires are starting to give up just a little bit. They're not going to be able to go as fast as they were on fresh tires. 7 laps now on these tires, 13 laps to go following Jeff Gordon. And he's spaced behind Dale Earnhardt there, looking to the inside of Brandon just a bit. Your leaders are Dale Jarrett, Saka in second, Brandon in third, Dale Earnhardt in fourth, Jeff Gordon in fifth. Those are your top 5, and Earnhardt is trying to make a run for it. Earnhardt likes to hook that bottom. Earnhardt looks to be the lowest on the track this segment, if that can help him catch Brandon. Speaking of Brandon catching, he's on Saka's back bumper now. The leaders are sort of playing it safe here. Brandon is following Saka in tow. At this stage of the race, you don't really need to make a lot of desperate moves, especially since there are still 20 laps to go. And a good shot from the Texaco Haviland car looking forward from Brandon. That's looking for Saka in second, and Dale Earnhardt making a drive to the bottom. 11 laps to go now. Brandon fighting back on the high side above Dale Earnhardt. He looks to that inside, as we expect Earnhardt to do. Battle now between Bobby Labonte and Mark Martin. This is for the 9th and 10th position. Those 5 cars you see back there are in danger of being eliminated from Terry Labonte back. So Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, and Tony Stewart are your cutoff drivers for this segment, coming to 10 laps to go now. Bobby Labonte getting a good drive here. Let's take a look up front. The leaders are still single file, Jarrett, Saka, and Brandon, with a little gap between Gordon and Earnhardt. Coming down the backstretch now, Brandon in tow very closely to Saka. Saka trying to close up to Dale Jarrett. You can see the distinct lines here. Brandon about a lane and a half up, Saka right on that white line. Dale Jarrett somewhere in between. 9 laps to go now. The cars are single filed. Looking out of Ryan Newman's all-tail camera, we can see exactly how far off the pace he is, and poor Ryan Newman has got some work to do if he wants to make it on to segment 3. You can see how long this back straightaway is, and he is seconds behind. 14th place now. Earnhardt to the bottom of Brandon. Brandon's going to pinch him down just a touch, get that drive off, and clear him. Coming to the start-finish line, Earnhardt will not be denied. He keeps looking down to the bottom. 8 laps to go now. And Saka for the lead under Dale Jarrett. Saka will hook that bottom, get drive off, and put Saka to the lead. Brandon will follow him down to the bottom. So this may put Brandon Saka 1 and 2. Brandon completes that pass, and they come across out of the tri-oval here, and coming across the line. 7 laps to go. Saka and Brandon just need to drive a heads-up race, but Dale Earnhardt will not be driving heads-up. He's going for that spot as well that was opened up from the cars before. Earnhardt needs to get that drive off the bottom here. Jeff Gordon stays to the high lane behind Dale Jarrett. Jarrett fights back on the high side, and Jeff Burton will join this car battle. It is a 4-car blanket that you can throw to cover all 4. Earnhardt, Jarrett, Gordon, and Burton. Dale Jarrett takes that lap, but Earnhardt fighting hard back on the bottom. This may get a little bit antsy, especially side by side. Those cars behind them can catch up very quickly. They need to sort of set themselves single file and just ride until the end. Coming to 5 laps to go now. You just need to bring this car home in order to qualify for the last main event. 5 laps to go now. Saka leads Brandon in second, Dale Jarrett in third, Earnhardt right on his bumper in fourth, and Jeff Gordon in fifth. Let's see if Earnhardt can take a look to the inside there. A lot of pressure on Dale Jarrett from the digger cam. There's a big gap behind Ward Burton side by side. Rusty there, Tony Stewart, Sterling Marlin, Ryan Newman bringing up the back. Here's a battle. Bobby Labonte on the inside of Rusty Wallace. Looks like Bobby will have the drive off, and what a wad we have behind these 2 cars, led by Tony Stewart. That pack is really close together. Stewart, Mark Martin, Mike Skinner, Sterling Marlin, and Terry Labonte, and this is close to the transfer spot. So Stewart needs to stay ahead of these cars to advance. Same for Mark Martin and Mike Skinner. A lot of pressure to go, and still 3 laps remaining in this event. Looking right above, you can see the different lines going into turn 1. A big gap to Bobby Labonte and Rusty Wallace. Tony Stewart single file back, and Ryan Newman bringing up the tail. Up front, it's still Saka and Brandon 1 and 2, and they've sort of gapped the field a little bit. Let's see if Brandon has anything for that one Pennzoil Chevy as they are coming to the line. 2 laps to go now. Saka just needs to drive a smooth, clean last couple laps, and he can take this segment. Brandon was the winner of segment 1. Coming off turn 2, still no change at the front, still a 3-car length gap between Saka and Brandon. Tight racing there between Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt. That looks like to be the remaining battle as the white flag is now in the air. 1 lap to go for Saka. Brandon in second. Looking back now, there's a try to pass for that position. Terry Labonte on the bottom side of Sterling Marlin. Rusty Wallace on the inside. And Saka has opened that gap just a bit here on this final lap. If everything goes accordingly, Saka will come around the tri-oval, and Saka will be the winner of segment 2. Saka advances, and here they are across the line. Big gap there, waiting on the next cars, Bobby Labonte and Rusty Wallace. There's your transfer spot, and unfortunately for Ryan Newman, he will not make the show. But we are now set up for segment 3. Saka is your segment 2 winner. We will re-rack them up after pit stops and be back with you for the final 20 laps. Welcome back to the Winston here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Jeff Burton and Tony Stewart will be on the front row for segment 3. Row number 2 is Ward Burton and Dale Earnhardt. Row number 3, Jeff Gordon and Dale Jarrett. Row number 4 will be Bobby Labonte and Rusty Wallace. And due to the inversion, our segment winners will be starting in row 5, Brandon on the inside and Saka on the outside. So the entire night has come down to this. They've done 40 laps, 10 cars have been eliminated, and we are down to our final 10 cars, 20 laps, $500,000. Shouldn't be any need for pitting or pit road. This is all-out racing. It's a sprint shootout on a Saturday night. Pace car will be ready to duck off. The field will be in the hands of Jeff Burton in that 99 Exide Batteries Ford. Crawling to the restart zone, Tony Stewart will try to anticipate the start. Green flag is in the air. Jeff Burton on the gas. Tony Stewart right behind him. Ward Burton down there to the bottom. Down into turn 1, Jeff Burton has the field cleared 2 by 2. And it looks like that 28 Texaco Haviland car did not get up to speed. You see Saka there in 9th and Brandon a couple seconds back. Getting reports now that Brandon lost second gear coming up through the start, so he had to essentially start this race in 3rd gear. Shouldn't affect him too much. We're not pitting this race, so Brandon will just have to get it in 4th gear and try his best to drive hard. Looking now at Tony Stewart, looking to make a move on the 22 car of Ward Burton. Your leaders at this point, Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, Tony Stewart, Earnhardt, and Jeff Gordon under Dale Jarrett. Rusty tries to cut down on the 1 car of Saka. Saka is right there, puts a fender to them, and Brandon is back in the mix, passing Bobby Labonte for 9th, and going around the outside of that 1 car is Brandon in the 28. He's got that high line working. Looking now at Dale Earnhardt making a pass on Tony Stewart on the inside. All these cars still within striking distance. These are the best 10 cars of the night. Jeff Gordon settles in behind Dale Earnhardt, Earnhardt behind Stewart, and a big gap up until Ward Burton and Jeff Burton. Looking now at Brandon, making a move on Dale Jarrett, looking high, looking low. Tony Stewart is in that high lane trying to get a run on Earnhardt. Earnhardt gets bite on the bottom. Earnhardt will clear Jeff Gordon to the bottom, and Brandon looking to make it 3 wide, ducks back in behind Dale Jarrett. Saka will try to pass Rusty. Rusty goes up the track a bit. Saka loose there, entering turn 3. Brandon gets momentum on the high side to complete the pass of Dale Jarrett. 16 laps to go, and that was close. Looking now from the Quality Care Ford camera from Dale Jarrett, you see Brandon working that high lane, gets right next to Jeff Gordon, gets off of him and down the back straightaway. Move Brandon up another spot. Dale Jarrett will try to follow Brandon around the outside of Jeff Gordon. Gordon with a good drive on the bottom, though. Dale Jarrett gets out of the gas a bit and will settle in behind Jeff Gordon. Looking back now from Dale Jarrett's car, you see Saka in the 1 and Rusty Wallace in the Miller Lite Ford behind him. Saka trying to get a good line. Maintains on corner exit. Dale Jarrett gets a little bit better drive off. Brandon has gotten around the 24. Brandon to the high lane. Dale Jarrett putting pressure on the 20. Home Depot Pontiac of Tony Stewart. High lane, Jeff Gordon. Saka will follow on around. Come across the line. There goes Dale Jarrett under Jeff Gordon. We'll see if Dale can maintain. Dale drives it in deep. Saka with a very wide lane right on the outside. That's not going to work. Saka settles back in line behind Jeff Gordon. Dale Jarrett on the bottom. Saka pushing Dale Jarrett by. Jarrett completes the pass. Saka on the bottom looking, keeping that left front in the air. Saka drifts up just a touch, riding right behind Dale Jarrett. Gordon will settle in, and Rusty Wallace trying to make a move on Bobby Labonte. That is for 10th place. These guys have a lot of work to do if they want to catch the leaders, who are pretty much single file as they stand now. Rusty Wallace pacing Bobby Labonte. But up front, Jeff Burton still leading his brother, Ward Burton. Earnhardt in 3rd, Brandon in 4th. And maybe Brandon does have the car to beat tonight. Coming across the line for 12 laps to go. Not even halfway through this segment, we've already seen some action. Dale Earnhardt looking to the bottom of Ward Burton. Brandon will go with whoever's faster. Looks like Earnhardt's faster. Brandon makes it 3 wide down to the bottom. Under Earnhardt, thinks better of it, gets back in line. So Earnhardt was trying to pass Ward and did not have the speed to complete. Brandon knows that we're not even halfway through this thing yet. We can pick and choose our time. Earnhardt on the bottom of Ward Burton now. Brandon back and forth trying to find the faster line. Looks like Earnhardt may clear Ward, and Brandon follows him on through. Ward Burton loses 2 spots in one corner. Saka with that high lane around Tony Stewart. Fighting on the bottom there is Stewart. High lane is Saka. Saka gets a drive up, almost brushing the wall. A very high lane, but good benefits on corner exit. Saka clears Tony Stewart with massive pressure from the 88 of Dale Jarrett. So Saka has gotten clear. Brandon has gotten clear. Those are our segment winners for the night. Good chance that they'll be up front momentarily, but Dale Earnhardt looking to the bottom. He will take the bottom. Brandon will ride the 2nd lane. Brandon stays clear, ducks to the bottom, clips the apron, and up he goes. Dale will follow Brandon through. 9 laps to go. Jeff Burton leading, Brandon 2nd, Dale Earnhardt 3rd. And we have a battle here in the back. The back of the pack is getting dicey. Jeff Gordon under Tony Stewart. Rusty looking to follow Jeff through. And the Joe Gibbs teammates are not having a good 3rd segment. They just don't seem to have the speed of the other competitors on these fresh tires. Could be weather, could be traffic, but either way, Tony Stewart and Bobby Labonte have some work to do if they are to get to the front. Looking now from the roof of Brandon, this is the Texaco Haviland camera. Looks to the inside of Jeff Burton, trying to get a good run. Jeff Burton hasn't been that stout this evening, but he is showing his power now when it really counts. Around turn 3, Brandon gets good bite, gets a fender on. This could be for the lead. Brandon around the outside. 7 laps to go. Brandon will lead that lap. Earnhardt trying to find the best line, and he will be there in 3rd. Saka with pressure behind Ward Burton for 4th and 5th. This may be a 5-car battle before this is all said and done. Brandon forced to the high lane now. Earnhardt following him. Jeff Burton making a drive on the bottom. Brandon will try to get a good line off the corner, get good power off the straightaway, and try to complete that pass around Jeff Burton. With Burton fighting back on the low side, Brandon will take the top. Saka follows him on through. Saka up to third. Ward Burton fifth, and Dale Jarrett sixth. We have the top 6 cars all right here together. Brandon in first, Jeff Burton in second. Saka completes the pass on Earnhardt for third. Earnhardt in fourth, and we have Dale Jarrett under the bottom of Ward Burton for fifth and sixth. Saka looks to the bottom, completes the pass on Jeff Burton. 5 laps to go now. It looks like the battle will be settled between these 2 cars. Saka tries to get good drive off. Dale Jarrett looks to the inside of Earnhardt. Jarrett may complete this pass, but Earnhardt has good drive off. It's the Dale and Dale show trying to keep Ward Burton behind them. And single file for the time being, 4 laps to go. This is where you know you either have the car to win or you're saving for a last lap Hail Mary, looking back from the 3 of Dale Earnhardt back to Dale Jarrett down the back stretch. Jarrett doesn't really gain on Dale coming down into turn 3. They both take that bottom lane, and it looks like single file out. You can see Ward Burton there peeking around the 88 of Dale Jarrett. 3 laps to go now. If Earnhardt or Jeff Burton has anything for these leaders, now's the time to go. Massive pressure on Jeff Burton. Looking ahead from Dale Earnhardt's roof camera, you can see our 2 leaders on the backstretch now. Earnhardt looking to make a move into third place. Saka will hold station behind our leader, Brandon. But looks like Earnhardt will complete this pass coming off the turn. Nope, Jeff Burton fights back. But Earnhardt has the power. Put Earnhardt in third place. Jeff Burton back to fourth. Dale Jarrett in fifth. And Jarrett looks for that inside groove. Jeff Burton shuts the door. If Dale can catch up to these 2 leaders, he may have something for them. But Brandon and Saka have stretched it out. We're coming to the white flag lap now. Saka takes a wide lane. So does Brandon. They both come off the turn. They both scratch the wall. White flag is in the air. 1 more lap to go. 1.5 miles for $500,000. Brandon arcs it in. Saka stays to the bottom. Brandon touches the apron. Saka to the lead. Saka will complete the pass on the backstretch. Saka grew up racing. He started racing when he was 4 years old, and he always told his parents, I am going to win the All-Star race. Looks like tonight, Saka hits the apron, slides into the wall. Brandon looking down the inside, coming to the line. Brandon takes the win. Saka second. Earnhardt spins Saka. They're into the wall. They're crashing. Very reminiscent of the first one hot night. But Brandon will take the All-Star race and the $500,000 paycheck. Saka in second. Earnhardt in third. What a race. What a drive by Brandon, losing that gear, but what a drive. We'll catch up to Bobby Labonte after the race.
Well, I mean, we struggled all weekend long with our car, and you know, some other guys had some better runs. They just had problems. So you know, can't say whether it was us or what it was, but we just didn't hit on the right setup tonight, and it wouldn't even go good for like 2 laps. It just kind of slow, and then it'd be loose for a while, and it'd be tight before that, and then it'd get loose. So just one of those situations where we might have missed on the setup, and we'll have to come back next week with something else.
Bobby Labonte brings it home in 10th place, but the man of the hour in the 28 Texaco Haviland Ford is Brandon. This will be momentous going into next week for the Coke 600, and what an all-star race finish it was. We'll see if Saka has anything for him next week, some redemption perhaps. But thank you so much for tuning in for this year's all-star race. It has been a great one, and we will see you next time on the track. Take care.